You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to Summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the test. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Buying should be. All right, so we got to catch everybody up to speed as to what is happening here.
What is happening?
All right, so there's a bat in the studio.
Dang. Well, no one cares about that.
A real bat flying around the studio. So it's throwing everybody for a loop. People are hiding out inside the studio. They're afraid to go to the bathroom. We've left a door open, so there's probably a homeless guy going through the fridge or walking out of the microwave right now. All sorts of stuff is happening.
There are a lot of treats in that fridge, you know.
Yeah. Well, they've been here.
I thought it was a lot of leftovers that Rob Parker takes with him.
It's a ton of stuff in there is all I'll say.
By the way, Rob, he does it so every Sunday night when we're doing the TV show, like they'll go across the street to the NBC Sports Grill at City Walk, and Rob is such a cheapskate that because it's NBC's paying for the food, he'll order food there, and then as he leaves, put in food to go so he can go across the way after we're done doing the show to take food to go home. So he's literally getting 2 meals every time he goes just so he can get more bang for his buck. A buck that he never spent. World-class cheapskate. Brilliant, but world-class cheapskate.
How does he do his apparel? What's the markup on that stuff?
Oh, so what he does is he buys things from like Ross Dress for Less or someplace like that, and then he puts an Odd Couple patch or like GetRob.com or MLBBro.com, whatever website, and he'll like get a patch made. He'll go to a mall. He'll get it put on to the clothes, and then he'll sell them in the kitchen here around Christmas time. And you're thinking, oh, he's probably cutting people a deal. No, he marks everything up. Brilliant. Like everything. So whatever jacket he got, like a tracksuit jacket he got for $12 at a Burlington Coat Factory, he goes to a mall kiosk, he gets an Odd Couple patch put on it, and then slings that bastard for $55 or $60. Rob, what are you doing? He goes, what? Inflation! No, that's not how it works, dude. That's not how it works. But you know, we are all trying to figure this out on the show. So there's all that stuff that's
Lee's dating life, by the way.
Dang.
You know? Hey, Lee.
Dang. Did you get a text message or a call, Lee?
No, I turned my phone off.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh,
That's a good move.
I don't think that's the right move either, buddy. I think whenever there's like a right move to be made, you don't make it.
My mantra is bad decisions.
Dang.
Yep.
How's that a mantra?
I don't know. It's just, I say it all the time.
I mean,
I manifest it. What's the mantra?
Bad decisions.
I mean, at least if you consistently live by the idea of making bad decisions, when you occasionally stumble upon a good one, people are really happy for you, man. That's how I look at it. Like, you've driven the standards down so low in terms of your decision-making ability that when you make a good decision, that S is like super important.
Right?
That went from being a compliment to not being a compliment.
Damn.
Dang.
By the way, we do have boots on the ground back in State College. Big
get a bar.
Be there.
I mean, I told you if he wanted to do it, I was going to do it with him. I was already fried. Like, I went to 210. I was there with JR, with 210. I was at Cafe 210 all day. I don't know why we're using that accent. JR, shouts out to you and the people at 210, home of the original, Long Island iced tea, where the whole idea of things turning into what we deemed the LeVar Allen came from. But yeah, I told Q, I was like, man, when you get here, it was like 11 p.m. I was like, all right, well, that's kind of late for me.
It was later than that, so.
Oh, dang. Well,
I didn't get into it after midnight by the time by the way, I've never had a worse landing than the one we had coming to the State College.
And, I don't know exactly what happened to them in the, Georgia State game. First of all, give Georgia State credit. They came in and played a tough opponent. But, at halftime, Vandy was, down 19-10 against Georgia State, and then came out and laid an absolute egg in the third quarter. They started off with an egg in the first quarter. So they scored 32 points. 32 points in the second and fourth quarter, but they gave up points in every single quarter in an increasing number against Georgia State. Xavier, it was 3, 9, 10, 14. The quarterback, for Vanderbilt, didn't have a bad day, had right at 270, 3 TDs and interception. Running back came in just under. So it's hard to explain exactly, this team. Now, are they going to play up to Alabama's level? No. Could Alabama potentially play down to their level? It's possible, which we had talked about. Will Alabama have a hangover? I don't expect it with this team. When you hear the board talk about this team, all he does is talk about how locked in this team is. Every time he talks about this team, he always says, I'm impressed by the way they approach their business. He said that every game this year. He said it before he said during bye week. He said it after the Georgia game, before the Georgia game. He said it this week. So every week he said he likes the way they approach their business. So I don't expect there to be a letdown or a hangover, on tomorrow. But Vanderbilt is an improved team. Xavier, they just like last night, Northside just don't have the numbers. We're talking about the high school team. They went from 3A to 5A. And they still only have 53 players, tough players, hard-nosed players, and figuring out a way to win. Vanderbilt isn't there, so I don't expect them to play up to Alabama's level.
Yeah, that's an interesting spot. And the thing is, I think a lot of their success this year has come from their transfer quarterback, Diego Pavia. Auburn fans should be familiar with him. He was the quarterback at Mexico State last year that went into Jordan Hare and beat them. So this is a guy that has been who's played in the SEC, played in a ruckus environment and came out with a win. So I don't think the moment's too big for him per se. He had some statements earlier saying, hey, this is we're a team that's not going to quit. We're a team that's not going to lay down. He said only God knows who's going to win Saturday, but we're going to come out and play our butts off and compete. So I think that's going to be a mentality that this team carries as their quarterback goes, kind of how Alabama fans feel about our team with Jalen Milroe. So it'll be interesting to see, as you said, he is in a similar position, their leading passer and leading rusher, much like Jalen Milroe. He actually has a few more rushing yards through 4 games than Jalen does. So he's a dual threat guy. Really the second dual threat quarterback we've seen, and we kind of saw how South Florida was able to use Byron Brown to give this defense a little bit of fits.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Vanderbilt gives us fits, or did Alabama learn and grow from that? And does I'm not calling for a shutout yet. I hadn't completely set on that. Do you think this Alabama defense picks up where it left off? Because now we've shown stuff, right? Now we've shown stuff. We were saving stuff for Georgia. So now this dual threat quarterback is going to see a different defense than the South Florida guy did. Does this defense shut down the first group, shut out Vanderbilt? And if Vanderbilt scores, it's going to be late in the game on the backups.
I don't think so. I think they'll get on the board in the first half. A field goal. Couple field goals.
Touchdown, field goal. Touchdown or field goal.
I'm going field goal. A field goal or two in the first half. Because I think this team will get everything this team has through the first 30 minutes of this game, and how Alabama responds to that will kind of determine how the rest of the game goes, especially through the first quarter.
If we have no turnovers, this team will not score in the first half. I'm going there. I'm believing X. I'm believing this defense is upset with themselves because they know how dominant a defense they can be now. You know, think about buy-in, X. You have a team that's playing an entirely different style of defense. And all year they've had the bend but don't break mentality. Against Georgia, when they were calling it and running it, there was no drive. There was no we might score from Georgia except for one drive, right? They did not do anything until this team, I think, kind of lost their edge. I think the second half of the Georgia game, now that we won it, pays huge dividends, not just for this team, but specifically for this defense, because they know when the dogs are let loose, when the elephants are allowed to run and stomp, and the Tigers are allowed to roll, this defense is nasty. And I think the Commodores are going to feel the full effect of that mentality, that approach on Saturday. I'll let you respond, and then you take it to the break really quick.
This Alabama defense will be an absolute nightmare for teams. No doubt, especially when the playbook is fully open, and I think we're at that point after coming out of the Georgia game. But it's hard.
He did say that he never employs his whole playbook. He said there are things 2 weeks ago during the bye week, he said there are things that they'll roll out as they go through the season. Just FYI. So, yeah. But there's a lot more of it open. Go ahead.
I think it's going to be a dominant Alabama win, 100%. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the first half goes. I think if we get through the first half, it'll be a shutout for sure. But we'll go ahead and get to break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll continue this conversation and we'll bring Pat in on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, a very good TGIF to you. We're getting off to a nice and Friday light start. If you're traveling around the area, you know the construction zones. If you do it every day, like here it goes. 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland Boulevard. You do have that long-term road work, no delays. McFarland, both east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace. Watch out for those road closures or the road blockages. And no delays for that one as well. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
This report.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit DriveSafeAlabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this state.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Humana Honor Medicare Advantage Plan gives you $1,680 back each year in your Social Security check. Choose coverage that helps you keep more money in your pocket. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. The Part B Give Back benefit pays part or all of your Part B premium, and the amount may change based on the amount you pay for Part B. Limitations and restrictions may apply. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. The chance of a few isolated showers. The high 81. For tonight, fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow and Sunday, warm and dry. Sunny both days with highs between 84 and 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Get back in. You're back in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's a free-for-all Friday powered by the pharmacy at Midtown. Go check them out. And don't forget about Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, doing it the right way for 50 years and counting. They are the one you need to choose for your lunch and dinner options. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. And X, this is such an awesome piece of audio clip that I want to play for our listening audience. As we've talked about, Coach Womack, he tells you so much. And one of the biggest frustrations for Alabama fans under Coach Saban has been a couple of things. One is that we get too many PIs and we left interceptions on the table, and we've had issues with dual threat quarterbacks. I want you to listen to this audio, and then you and I'll break down why this defense is going to get more turnovers, return us back to that place, why we will not have the same number of issues that we've had with dual threat quarterbacks, and why we will still be able to play man versus a dual threat quarterback versus what Georgia did last week that hurt them in the first half when they tried to go away from their bread and butter of man and try to play some zone. Here's Coach Womack talking about vision coverage.
Good at that. Well, we, from a schematic standpoint, we play a lot of what we call vision style coverage. And even when we're playing man coverage, there are elements of vision that are based into some of our hook drops and hole droppers that we're able to read the eyes of the quarterback and react. And so when you can put your eyes on the quarterback, now you're not just defending people or grass, but you're defending the people and the grass that the quarterback wants to throw the ball to. We went to more of a vision-oriented defense like in 2014. My dad, when he was the D coordinator at Ole Miss, got it from Monty Kiffin, who my dad had GA'd for years ago back in 1978. Him and my dad GA'd for Lou Holtz and Monty Kiffin, and so that relationship stayed all the way through the years. And then in 2014, we got kind of the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom. Back when they were Legion of Boom, they were the number one team in the NFL. They were taking the ball off of people more than anybody else, and they were playing with this vision style coverage. And so we got into doing those same things in 2014 as a defense at Ole Miss. We became the number one scoring defense in the country, number one in the country in interceptions, and really we've never looked back since. The element of putting vision on the quarterback in a number of different concepts defensively, be it zone or even man, has given us an opportunity to make more plays on the ball.
What a great example of a defense to go model yourself after, and that just shows you how relationships in the game work. But I think that is a big improvement when you see things from the way that Alabama's defense is played. You have a 3 interception game because the guys are using their eyes more. You talk about Damani breaking on what should have been a screen pass instead of following the wide receiver. Because the wide receiver ran the wrong route. You look at Jihad using his eyes to undercut a pass to over the middle to a Georgia player. You look at Xavier looking in at Beck on the game-winning interception. And so those are things that you can really see be the difference in this defense from last year, because I believe in years past, because I believe in at least 2 of those situations, Damani would have taken off with the wide receiver up the field and it would have just been an incompletion. And then you look at Xavier would have been back to the ball, looking at the wide receiver, which makes it easier for a PI call or the wide receiver to fight back for the ball versus him fighting back for it.
Yeah, I will say it. One of my I don't want Alabama fans to get a nightmare, but this is what I do not want to happen. I do not want this dude to ever end up with Lane Kiffin. Just let that sink in for a second. If Lane Kiffin could get what his dad had from somebody else with his mindset, his offensive creativity, and his aggressive nature, because what we saw Georgia do the other night, Xavier, is
what Lane Kiffin does.
It's kind of how Lane Kiffin plays sometimes, even when the game's close. So just imagine if he had a defense to back him up. It's scary. It's just a scary thought. But I quickly want, because we do have calls lined up, so we want to get you guys in. But I quickly want to say, X, the fact when you play man to man and you run your routes, and the quarterback is a dual threat guy, nobody has their eyes on the quarterback. So if he takes off and breaks contain, all your defensive players are chasing the wide receiver, so they don't see the dual threat guy. That's what hurt us so many times through the years. And it also what causes PI. So in one fell swoop, we have found a guy who addresses what's been Alabama weaknesses. And then we talk about the fact that if this defense we said if this defense is the top 15 with this offense, which is averaging, over 40 something points a game, has a 4-game streak of 40 plus points going, and that continues Saturday, this team is going to be tough to beat. I'll go ahead and get to Pat. Pat, you're in on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline. We're going to rapid fire you guys. What you got for us, man? Pat, you there? Is Pat there? Going once, going twice, sold to the Auburn Tigers. Pat is sold to the Auburn Tigers. Pat, call back if you were trying to talk and we couldn't get you in. Alan, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. News alert, Ryan Williams is still 17. He's just 17. He's still 17 today. Just want y'all to know that.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Lane Kiffin. He had his father up there at Tennessee the first year he was up there.
And did they not almost beat Alabama?
If it weren't for Mustard Cody, they would have.
There you go.
They definitely would have. And what I was thinking, that game, I just saw on Facebook this morning where one of the recruits said, "Hey, I'm coming to Alabama." He committed to Alabama after watching the game. Now, that game, did that not help both teams? In my opinion, like Georgia, some of the recruits say, "Hey, Georgia was down, they didn't give up. Hey, I want to go play for them." And Alabama, "Hey, I want to play in this offense that Alabama got." Look at the defense swarming. Look at this offense swarming. Did it not just help both teams the way that game played out as far as recruiting goes?
X, I have an opinion. X, go ahead.
Yeah, I think to a certain degree it does. When you look at it, the offense is definitely fun to watch for Alabama for sure. And even Georgia let it loose in the second half might change the opinion on some wide receivers coming out to Georgia. And of course the defense, I think a lot of guys understand in a regular game situation that this Alabama defense is a top tier defense. And so they want to see it. And you heard one of Alabama's linebacker commits go after the game. He said, "That's it. I'm done. Locking it in. Not going on any more visits. I'm coming back."
That's what I'm talking about. Right. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
Alan, I'll give you not talking politics, but I use politics as an analysis. There's a debate. There's those who follow Party A, those who follow Party B, and then there's the undecided. Those who watched that game Saturday that were already Party A, which is Georgia, they're still going to Georgia. Those who were Party B that were going to Alabama and Alabama Party B, they're still going. The question in that game was, does Alabama with Kalen DeBoer deserve the same level of recruiting draw that Nick Saban does? Kirby had nothing to gain in that game. And I think Georgia loses in that scenario because as a player, I'm watching that game and I know that Alabama's offense, if I'm an offensive player, I'm coming to Alabama.
Yeah.
If I'm watching those two games. If I'm a defensive player, I'm going, which one of these defenses look most like what the NFL is going to? Which one does? Alabama.
Yeah.
So to me, Alabama wins the independence. I don't think we necessarily drew a lot from Georgia if somebody was Georgia, but I think the independents walked away and would, if you were to do a poll, I think you probably have 65-70 Alabama versus Georgia. That makes sense?
Yes, I agree. I can see what you're saying.
It didn't hurt Georgia with who they have, but I don't think it won. I think more guys would have walked out favorable toward Alabama. We got to get to the next caller, but man, that's a great question. Thanks, Alan. And hey, Alan, have you heard Ryan Williams It's 17. Robert, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline on this Free For All Friday powered by the pharmacy at Midtown.
So that's what you do to us if we don't answer the call. You ship us off to Auburn, man.
hey,
I remember that.
Hey, Robert, someone sent me a thing yesterday, and I have to be careful, but I try not to talk too bad about Auburn. Okay, someone sent me something yesterday, Robert, and it said that the ticket prices at Auburn are going, you can stand on the sideline, get to call 2 plays, and they're going for $25. And then the person turned around and said they think that's a little high. I told them, I said, no, the 2 plays were worth $24.99.
Yeah, I think it's a kick out of when teams suck going online and seeing what the tickets are selling for. Based on how they drop when the team suck, especially Auburn. Goodness gracious alive, you get a poor song, especially when they're playing some low rent team.
Yeah. How do you think Auburn's feeling after? Are they hating us even more now because they're going to get a really mad Georgia team?
Yeah, I guess they are, especially in Athens too. Goodness gracious alive. So I was apologizing to my Auburn fans here at my job. Say, hey, I'm sorry, guys. Normally I have no sympathy for you, but it's like, oh, goodness gracious. This is, if you have ever been set up for a beatdown, this is it. SEC Shorts has a character on there everybody's calling him Pimp Vandy. Vanderbilt won those 2 games and they were feeling themselves, and so they created a character called Pimp Vandy. He comes in there dressed like a pimp, strutting his stuff. He's become quite popular with the fans to the point that everybody's hoping that they pull off another, upset on somebody, not Alabama. so that Pimp Vandy can come back out again. I don't like the pimp character. In reality, pimps are terrible people. But, that character is so funny. So we're all hoping he comes back out again. When I look at seeing this game, I do not want Milroe to be anywhere near the leading rusher in this game. I want the running backs to run. I want designed runs for the running backs, and Milroe just runs when he's getting himself out of trouble, or just something just the hole is so wide open. My goodness, you have to take it type thing. Definitely I want to see more passing in the pocket and tuning that sort of thing up. And I want to see like I said, you all mentioned the backups. That's definitely what I want to see, the backups. The defense, like you said, Martin, they should feel like they need to redeem themselves. And because once again, even in the second half, we saw guys running behind them wide open. So they should want to get some redemption in the game. I still think Vandy might get 13 at the end, on some garbage time plays. But, that's what I'm looking to see tomorrow.
We appreciate the call in.
Hey, guys.
When you're looking at this game, I don't think he changed the offense up. I get wanting to run the backs more, but I think you just have to go with the flow of the game because this offense is built around what Jalen does best. And so I think just making him stand in the pocket could affect his overall gameplay. I do think Jam and Justice will get their fair share of carries, and I think it also determines on how long the drives are. But, that's a good point of contention and conversation of what do you want to see moving forward from this Alabama offense that will cause this offense to be better down the stretch. And I do think the running back has to have more carries, but it has to be done in a smart way where you don't change the offense too much. But we'll get to break and we'll continue this conversation on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, a very good TGIF to you. We're getting off to a nice and Friday light start. If you're traveling around the area, you know the construction zones. If you do it every day, like here it goes. 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland Boulevard. You do have that long-term road work, no delays. McFarland, both east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace. Watch out for those road closures or the road blockages. And no delays for that one as well. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit DriveSafeAlabama.org. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Accidents happen. At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at GetHumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's a free-for-all Friday powered by the pharmacy at Midtown, the pharmacy at Midtown. Check them out at pharmacymidtown.com. Also want to tell you about Dixie Battery Supply. Dixie Battery Supply. You never have to feel powerless again. They have the batteries that you need, top battery brands, and all of the batteries, many of them in stock for the various sizes and types, like golf carts and marine batteries, etc. They also have reconditioned batteries starting at $39.99 plus tax with exchange. So when you get ready to get rid of that old battery, don't just throw it out. Take it by Dixie Battery Supply, DBS, DixieBatterySupply.com, and they will take care of you. Also make sure you ask them about the golf carts. Actually, as we were going to break there, we were having a little conversation about the game plan, keys to victory, etc. I like what Robert said, and I think there is a way to do it. I don't know if you heard Hugh Freeze, he got upset at his quarterback, Peyton Thorne, for pulling the ball and throwing it when they were running all over Oklahoma. That's stupid play calling. You don't call RPO. You just call the run. Take the PO out, right? So there is a way to keep Jalen in a flow without disrupting Jalen's flow from the run game. In other words, you just intentionally make some call runs, and that's what I think Robert's saying. But that doesn't mean you get rid of all the quarterback runs. So if Jalen ends up with more yards, that's fine, but it's because he had long runs. I would go into this game and establish our offensive line dominance in the run game. We need to get better in the run game, X. We're going to need that. And we're going to need it where they have decided they're going to take Jalen away. So, and we need to know that our offensive line can line up and run the ball straight ahead. Still utilizing Jalen, but I would call, you see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. You take away, instead of calling a read option, a 34 read option, a read, you just call 34 power or, 34 zone. You just take the read part out of it and you let the running backs go.
But to the defense, it still looks like it because you're taking away the give. In other words, you're blocking the play, the 34, but Jalen still does the read action. So that his impact on the game is still effective. He still holds the outside guy, etc. But you call it's a give, but the action is the same. And the same thing with the pass game. I think you can call, which I don't think we do a lot of move in the pocket unless there's pressure. So I would say call the pass game the same way it has been called. X.
I agree with that. And I mean, it's just one of those things that Alabama does need to be able to run the ball and be forceful in the second half of games to close games out. And Saturday was really the first time you had a situation where you needed to burn the clock and take it down with the run game. And we hadn't had to do that really all year with the situations of our games. And the first couple games, all of our touchdown drives were quick drives, and then it was second half and it was a blowout. Or even when we were trying to do it against South Florida, Justin was breaking it for a touchdown. Jam was breaking it for a touchdown. So I think Saturday is a lesson learned and another step that will make this team better down the stretch.
Absolutely. Quick sidebar question, X, Blind Squirrel Sport, Georgia fan. He asked the question, if the Gators find themselves looking for a new coach, does Womack get a call?
They'd be crazy not to call him. I mean, he's that good of a coach. I mean, I believe that he would be what you see down in South Alabama would be just that much better this year if he had stayed there. So I think it's 100% a call that is made. Is he the guy? I don't know. But what I would actually fear more is they call Kiffin. Kiffin goes, okay. And then Womack goes over to Ole Miss.
Womack won't leave. Oh, you're talking about him? Yeah. Now that's a huge possibility. But if I'm not as worried about Womack going to Ole Miss in the sense of Ole Miss all of a sudden being able to play with Alabama. I'm just worried about those two ending up together, and I don't think that's going to happen anyway, because I think Womack, we might get to keep him a year. This defense keeps doing what it's doing. And I'll say this, X. Womack is, if Kiffin hadn't have been tabbed the Golden Boy, he would have been on the same path and track that Womack's been on. Womack's dad, in terms of his scheme and thoughts and all of that, in a lot of ways, is to defense what Kiffin, Monty Kiffin was in some ways to defense, and what Lane became to offense. And so when you look at those two prodigies, I think Womack's that dude. He just had a different path because he wasn't deemed the golden child at a young age. But the dude, you can see he played the game and he can flat out coach the game. So, Bama fans, we better enjoy him this year. And I'm not saying he's gone, but we better enjoy what he's doing, right now. And did we hit a home run by hiring him? And I'm not knocking T-Rob. I'm just saying home run. And I can change that down the street. I can change my mind down the road, but that's where I'm going right now. Let's get the break and we'll come back. We need to do a little rapid fire on a couple of the topics we talked about. So we'll do that on the other side as we get the break here. I want to remind you to go check out North River Timber Company, NorthRiverTimberCO@gmail.com. Courtney White and his team. They're there to serve you with timber harvesting, appraisals, and land management. Give them a call. Once again, 205-242-5127. And as Courtney White says, if you have land, it's like having money in the bank. Maximize your investment. Call North River Timber Company, LLC.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning. A number of organizations across West Alabama are sending aid to the devastated states to our east from Hurricane Helene. Yesterday, 2 aircraft took off from Sanders Aviation at Jasper with supplies headed to North Carolina. Former Northport Mayor Bobby Herndon has delivered his supplies to Florida. He'll deliver more supplies to North Carolina next week. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are moving with a purpose on the Tuscaloosa freeways for your TGIF. And as a matter of fact, you have very minimal slow goes. Like on McFarland Boulevard, it's a little on the slower side at Harper Road, that is, that intersection. But once you get through those red lights, you're just fine. Lurleen Wallace is a breeze on both the north and southbound lanes between McFarland and University Boulevard. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
This report is
freedom and flexibility. That's what you want in a healthcare plan. And with Humana's Medicare Advantage PPO plans, you can see any doctor in the country who accepts Medicare, including specialists, with no referrals needed. Plus, you can go in and out of network for the same copay for doctor's visits. Learn more at GetHumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. The chance of a few isolated showers. The high 81. For tonight's fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow and Sunday, warm and dry. Sunny both days with highs between 84 and 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It is a free-for-all Friday powered by the pharmacy at Midtown. Hey, don't forget to go check out the Legacy gear. You can find it at athletesthread.com/Martin-Houston. Get your officially licensed gear in time for Alabama's football season. So go out, and if you're watching it online, all you have to do is scan the QR code. X, let's get into a couple of those playbooks and make a few play calls this morning.
Yeah, so when we're looking at this game, what are your thoughts of what it's going to take for Alabama to avoid the hangover?
I think the second half of the Georgia game. So that would be, literally, I think that's it, X. I think, I would have been much more worried about the hangover had we continued to blow out Georgia. I think the hangover, I think they sobered up by the end of the fourth quarter.
Agreed. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think it's one of those things that is going to take Alabama just continuing what they're doing, and I think the second half was key to making sure that we right the ship on the small things that helps Alabama's defense get off the field and continue drives when we have a big lead to just change those things up. What about some keys to victory?
I think that, offensive line play, defensive line play, it always starts there. But I think execution, keys to victory is Alabama just playing Alabama football. But things I would like to see really quick, X, is I would like to see us cut down on the penalties. I would like to see us stay consistent for an entire game in terms of the drives. And if we get big plays, it's just we get big plays. But try to stay consistent with our play calling. And then defense, just execute and get a couple turnovers. I would like to see our field goal kicker kick a few more kicks, man. I'm nervous. He's only kicked twice, missed one, and barely made the other one. So I want to see him kick the ball more. I know what he did, but I want to see him do it here on the big stage.
I think that'll be a huge part of Alabama's success as well, is more confidence from our kicker. Control the clock for 4 quarters, dominate the line of scrimmage for 4 quarters, and be able to get teams off the field for 4 quarters. And I think that we'll be able to get Bama to continue rolling.
All right. Hey, let's get Pat. Pat, are you back in the portal from Auburn?
Yeah, I'm back in that hole from Auburn. Y'all realize this game up there, I've got a ticket to it, and I'm going to take Ellis is going to sit with me in the stands. But I got a ticket on the 35 rows up. There's only 75 rows on each section, so I've got real good seats. And but realize that there's only less than 29,000 people are going to watch this game. This is the smallest crowd since 1963, Morton. How crazy is that?
That's pretty crazy. And that, like I said, that's why I'm glad that what's the name said this team has a business approach, Pat. You got anything else? We got you ready to get out. You got anything else?
Well, no, I just wanted to tell you about how small that crowd was going to be, and I feel blessed to have a ticket to be able to see it live.
Safe travels, Pat, and also tell Ellis we said hello up that way.
I will.
All right.
All right. Have a blessed one, Martin. Bye-bye.
Have a blessed one. Yeah, X, with that, thought of how small the stadium is, it's going to be important that this team takes a business approach.
Yeah, I didn't realize I knew they were remodeling and things of that nature, but I didn't realize it was going to be that impactful to the size of the stadium. That is a home, or what's the, I can't think of the word, but that is a small field for, especially after coming out of 100,000 plus at your previous game. But no, so you got the keys to victory. We've talked about how to avoid the hangover. Who are going to be the players of the game?
Man, you have to say Ryan Williams and Jalen Milroe as an easy one, but I'm going to throw an offensive line unit in there because I think we're going to emphasize the run game, and I'm going to say Jam and Justice have their best combination game that they've had this year as we see them pick up the run game. I say on defense, the linebackers continue their dominance, and I think Brown now has confidence, so I'll say he quickly, makes another big play and his confidence grows.
I agree that the running backs will definitely be key players, and by default, the offensive line will have to be key. Just what Caden Proctor's been able to do has been so impressive to me. And then defensively, I think it's going to be the defensive line with this quarterback being a dual threat guy, getting pressure on him, but also keeping him contained inside of the box. What's your score for the game?
I have it. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to go into the 60s. Right now I have it 55 to 6 with Jalen Milroe getting 335. And I don't think he plays much into the second half. And I think that's what we get. I really want to go in the 60s. I think we get there, but I'm going to pick 55.
I have 51 to 6. And I think Jalen gets about 321 because I don't think he plays that far into the second half either. So I think we're both in the 50s, got the same score for Vandy. Also, some teams around the SEC that you.
Let's
right.
let me ask you this before even if we don't get to that, that's okay. What about the streaks? Does we both believe Alabama continues a 40+ streak, but the question becomes, does Jalen get 2-2 and does he get 4 touchdowns? Because he has,
yes.
that's the streak he's playing under. I mean, that's crazy.
I will say yes to the 4 touchdown streak. It gets iffy on the 2-2. I think he throws for 3 touchdowns this week. He might get 2 on the ground, but I do think he'll get at least 1 on the ground.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you think he gets to 4, but you're not sure if he gets to 2-2. I'm going to say all 3 streaks continue, 40+, and then 2-2. That's Xavier Houston. I'm Martin Houston. That's Chase Brumfield. Thanks to all the caller, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being part of the program. We'll add Kennedy Smith third to the conversation on Monday, and we'll break down the Vanderbilt win and turn our attention to the South Carolina Gamecocks. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. This has been a free-for-all Friday, brought to you by the Pharmacy at Midtown. And every day we're powered by Box Eye Care. Go check out Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com, 205-342-0660. Hey, join us at Harvest Church on Sunday, Harvest Church at 10 a.m. We'd love to have you. Harvest Church, we love God, love people, and we love the opportunity to love on you. Roll Tide, everybody. Catch you on Monday.
It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on! It's a celebration.
Okay, how weird does it feel to be called someone's fiancé? The first time you hear it, you do a double take. Your heart kind of flutters, and before you know it, you go from let's just enjoy the moment to we're planning a fall wedding. That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place and have fun along the way. From free planning tools like a budget tracker and website to a venue and vendor discovery tool that matches you with your dream team. Everything on Zola is designed to make your wedding journey as easy as possible, and with invites that can be completely customized, and a wedding registry packed with gifts you actually want. Zola takes you from save our date to thanks so much without breaking a sweat. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.